This is the Rising Bold podcast, accelerated by future female leaders, for women who want to navigate work, leadership, and life with confidence. Hosted by Seeber and Emma Burdett. Wherever you are on your leadership journey, we're just glad you're here. Let's get this conversation started.
And we're back for another episode. This is great. We keep showing up. Do you think other people keep showing up?
I hope so. If you are listening in and if you've listened into multiple episodes, we appreciate you. Heart.
I'm thrilled to be having this conversation because this is actually one of my biggest challenges, but also passions, is showing up with confidence and having absolute certainty and self-belief and knowing that we can do hard things. We can actually do that. We don't have to avoid them. We can tackle them head on. So that's the conversations we're going to have today. But of course, before we jump into that conversation, let's have a moment of braveness. Let's have a brave moment. What's going on in your world, Claire?
Oh, my brave moment this week is that I've started doing proper PT strength training at the gym. I've been going to the gym for a long time, but I've never actually invested in learning properly how to lift weights and how to, I guess, keep myself strong for the latter years in my life. And I've just started it and it is hard. It's really hard. And my butt hurts today from all the squats that I've been doing. And
yeah, girl.
And it's really interesting because I've got this great woman who's my PT and in those moments where, like, my legs are shaking and I'm like, I can't do this, she's like, you've got this. You've done harder stuff than this. And so it's probably quite relatable to today's topic. But that is definitely my brave moment, is committing to that, investing in myself, because I've noticed it's easy to just go to the gym and just go on the cross trainer or whatever. But that's really not targeted development. And it's amazing the difference to your mindset when you just show up for yourself. So that's been my brave moment, is making the decision to do that and invest in it. And it's uncomfortable and it's tense and, you know, all of those things, but I'm feel so good after I do it.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I love strength training. It's always been my jam. But it's really intimidating walking into those weights areas and the weight space.
So intimidating.
It's a lot of testosterone and a lot of strength, like across every gender. It's quite a lot.
Just not even knowing how to use it, right? I look at the setups and I'm like, I don't know how to put all of that together, which is actually why I decided to pay someone to help me, because I'm like, if I want to build confidence, I've got to take action in order to do that.
Yes. Love that.
Yes. What's yours?
My brave moment is, so I'm a planner and a strategist by trade. I always have a plan, always have a vision, know what I'm trying to do. And I don't normally start something until I have it really mapped out. I'm really certain about how this time and investment is going to work. Well, we are recording these episodes. I think we're up to like 6 or 7 episodes now. And we don't actually even have a name for this podcast yet.
And this makes you feel highly uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable. I'm like, why are we even doing this? Guys, back to foundations. Let's get it right from the ground up. But sometimes progress is better than perfection. And it was more of a, let's just see what feels right as we start going as well. So yeah, that's my brave moment, is admitting that I'm doing something without a certain plan.
It's like when people have a child. You know, you have some people that will have a child and they've already named the child. They know exactly the name of that child before it's born. And then you have other people that are like, nah, we don't really have anything in mind. We're just going to have the child, happy for it to be nameless for like a week or two, and then we'll just work out what it feels like it fits. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with this podcast being our child.
I love it. That is a great one.
Yeah, for those who have realised every episode that we have never once said the name of this podcast, that's why.
Watch this space, though.
Yes.
It's coming.
Exactly. We'll get on to our topic for today, which is all about being confident. So here we are, showing up. And I guess really, I think a big part of this is reflecting and seeing what we have shown up for in the past and knowing that you can do hard things. Your trainer said it to you the other day. You've done harder things than this. So I want to know from you, Claire, what was a time where you felt like something was just too hard? When it's really easy to be like, this is too much, too hard, I need to walk away. Every spidey sense is telling me no, but you push through.
This question is so hard because there's too many moments to choose from. Like, this question is not hard because you can't think of one. This question is hard because there's just too many. The one that comes up for me the most, or that I think would be really relevant for a lot of the listeners, is when I first really stepped into my formal leadership journey for the first time. And I moved to Melbourne. I didn't know anybody there. Basically was rebuilding my life from the start. And I got a job that I was really excited about as a senior HR advisor in the retail space, retail and e-commerce space, for a big ASX listed company at the time. Anyway, so already a bit out of my depth, because all of the things that keep you grounded and the things that keep you stable had already been thrown out the window. And fast forward, 4 weeks into that role, my manager resigned. And they said to me, hey, Claire, we think that you should take on the manager role. And I was like, what? In my head, I was like, there's no way I can do this. But okay, I'll give it a go. So it felt stretchy and it needed me to have courage to step into it. But it felt like I wasn't totally out of my depth yet. Insert another week later, and they come back and they say, oh, and by the way, we're divesting this arm of the business from the ASX company, and we're being purchased by private equity, and we've got to rebuild everything from the ground up as well. So all of the things that previously were handled by other departments, payroll, recruitment, L&D, essentially the role that I was in was just implementing projects, to now having to build an entire function from nothing.
Of course.
And I was like, is this some kind of a sick joke? And I rolled with it. And I remember sitting around the senior leadership team. I was the youngest person in the room. I remember feeling like everybody around me knew, like my palms are sweating as I'm talking about this because I viscerally remember how uncomfortable I felt. Everybody around me I felt knew more. Everybody around me I felt like was more capable, and I was the only person there who was out of my depth. And I just felt, I remember saying to my husband, like, I can't do this. This is not worth it. I am not capable of this. Like, I'm just not ready. And don't get me wrong, there was lots of blood, not lots of blood, sweat and tears, just sweat and tears, no blood. But I remember one day having this moment where I realised nobody actually knows all of the answers. And me pretending like I do and taking myself so seriously about this position that I now had, because I thought I had to be so serious in order to be confident and to succeed, and I had to be perfect and polished and very professional, actually was getting in the way of me doing good work. And that for me was the catalyst, I think, for being able to just keep going. I'm not saying it was easy in any way, but it was like I loosened the grip a little bit on who I thought I had to be to succeed, and actually just decided to just crack on and be who I was. And if that wasn't acceptable, I'm sure someone will let me know and fire me.
Yeah, it's not very true, isn't it? Mm. So that's a hard situation to be thrown into. Talk about thrown into the deep end, sink or swim. Mm. I'm sure you would have been very tempted to just go, you know what, this is not for me. This is not what I signed up for. This is a lot. This is going to take me on a life trajectory that is not filling for me. How did you know to keep going?
Look, I think sheer determination and grit, and probably a bit of stubbornness, to be fair, enabled me to keep moving forward, but not without a lot of lessons. I remember a time where the imposter and the self-doubt was so rife. And for me, the imposters looked like, if you just keep working harder, you'll look like you're able to hold the same amount as other people, even though I had no real data point of like, were they even holding their own work? And so basically what that led to was I stopped looking after myself in other ways. For example, I stopped making plans on the weekends. I stopped making plans on my weeknights because in my head I was like, you'll probably have to work because you need to work in order to keep up with everybody else. I stopped exercising. I no longer had the space for that. It was literally like work, sleep, eat, repeat. And that was not sustainable. And as we all know, your resilience depletes significantly when you don't have other things happening in your life. And so for a while it kept me going. But then interestingly enough, it actually became one of the biggest derailers in my own leadership and my decision-making ability and just actually my confidence. And so strangely enough, what enabled me in the end to keep going was to bring other things back into my life. And they weren't even big things. It was just like, we don't work every night, Claire, at the laptop. We make plans with your husband to go out for dinner or catch up with a friend. And we don't cancel on those things anymore because you need to have other things to look forward to. And funnily enough, it was when I was starting to get more joy out of, I'm sure people are listening like, duh. But when you're so in it, it's really hard to see out. But when I started bringing more back into my life, it actually made me be able to move through the tough times more. And so then I became a better leader, I became a better friend, I became a better just peer to the people that I was working with because I'd loosened the grip on that one part of my life having to be everything. And I felt better for it and I was able to make more courageous decisions and just stick it out more.
Yes, I love that. I'm glad that you stuck it out. And I think it ties back to what we talk about in our programs as well with future female leaders around knowing what's important to you and your personal values. What I'm hearing from you as well is knowing your why. I'm showing up to do this. I'm going to keep doing this hard thing because I want to, because of this. It's tapping back into that. But knowing what's important to you and how the word that I sort of would frame it is control. For you to have some kind of control over it and not let it control you.
Yes.
I think that's such a game changer when it comes to doing difficult things.
Yes, so much so. But control's a really interesting thing, right? Because when you feel out of your depth, when you feel maybe like you don't belong or like everybody else has got it together and you're the only person that doesn't, having the self-belief, the discipline, and I guess the self-respect in a lot of ways to make the decisions that allow you to control your time and your life and how you lead is quite hard. And that can look as simple as somebody putting a meeting in your diary at a time that you're actually not available for or you already had plans for, and you having the discipline and the ability to enforce a boundary because you respect yourself enough to do so, to actually turn around and say to that person, I'm actually not available at this time. Here are some other options. But when you don't feel like you're enough or you're as, I don't know, strong enough, as capable enough as the other people around you, it's hard to have that control. And you can fall into the trap of letting people control you and therefore not having a boundary. And when you don't have boundaries, people will keep pushing. And if you keep letting them, they will keep taking and you will keep giving and you will slowly become more resentful for that. When in reality, we train people how to treat us. And in those moments, in my experience there, I trained people to treat me in a way that I was available all of the time. I would respond within 5 minutes at any time of day, on weekends, on weeknights. And I'd eroded my own sense of self-worth and self-esteem and self-belief and discipline and control in doing that.
Yeah. And it's a slippery slope, isn't it? You start letting these things go and then we avoid the hard because we then start going, oh, I'll just do it just this once. Or rather than having the hard conversations, making the hard decisions, we get tired And we're emotionally tired. It's not necessarily physically tired, but we're not getting our cup filled by what's important to us, what we value most. So we're feeling flat, low, run down. And then somebody just needs that extra thing. And and then you just end up saying yes, that becomes the norm. And you can see how then you end up, everything just feels hard.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep going, and then eventually you just get to a point where you cannot. You go, this is not for me anymore, and you walk away. And it's interesting because we talk about facing hard things. We talk about challenges. How do we push through? And it's really easy to think about really big life-changing moments where you're like, I faced something head on. You know, I realised in my corporate job and my corporate career that I'd started in banking and finance, that wasn't for me. To say no thank you to that next promotion and pay rise and golden handcuffs and go back to being a uni student again in my late 20s, that's not an easy decision to make. So you think of these life-changing aha moments where you've been challenged. But I honestly think a lot of doing hard things is actually in the small day-to-day. We do so many things, like writing an email that you don't want to write, or actually sitting down to decipher or understand something that just feels like it's too hard. It was like, oh, I'll come back to that later. My brain's like, no, say no, can't be bothered. But do the hard thing. Lift the weights that feel uncomfortable. Do that jump at the wakeboarding park that scares you. Take that leap off that jetty. Reply back to that email. Do the accounting finance part of your business that you keep putting off. All those little day-to-day hard things are important. And I think if you tap back into why they are important, why it matters to you, and how do they work into the greater plan, then that to me is how I keep showing up. And when I lose sense of that, I almost lose sense of myself. I lose that self-belief where I'm like, I don't trust that I'm going to do what I say to myself I'm going to do. And this is where that discipline is important, because you need to teach yourself that you have that integrity and that priority for yourself as well.
Absolutely. And I think how you commit to yourself, I mean, you know straight away when you are tentative on something, right? Like, for example, before I've gotten into a good rhythm at the moment with the gym, I would set my alarm for 5:45 and I would already know before I've fallen asleep that night, I would already know in my heart that I wasn't getting up the next day. What would happen is that I would say that I had a bad night's sleep, or this one, and I know that my husband just looks at me and he doesn't say anything, but I know that he's like, your alarm's worked every day of your life. It did not work today. When I'm like, I don't know what happened. My alarm just didn't go off. I know exactly what happened. I got up in the middle of the night and I turned it off.
No, it was definitely Cranksky the dog ate my alarm.
Yes, Cranksky ate my alarm. No, he ate my phone. And so, like, you know the moments when you are tentative on something and you know you're not taking committed action, either because we're not disciplined enough to, we aren't backing ourselves to, or we're not motivated enough by what it is. Each of these things, though, we've got to work out what it is that's actually getting in the way. And then we have to have the self-agency to move ourselves forward. And sometimes that takes courage. Sometimes it is just actually discipline. And other times I think it is about self-respect. Just going back to my mornings again, I found it really interesting over the years where I work with clients internationally. And so sometimes, for example, I'll work with a Canadian client who will have our calls at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll get up for them, no problem. So why do I not show the same respect, have the same level of discipline and the same level of motivation sometimes to just get up for myself, to do the hard thing for myself? But even though I know rationally that momentum breeds momentum and it's the small steps for the big gains and, you know, all of these kind of Hallmark cards that we can throw around. But at the end of the day, for me, why will I show so much respect for somebody else's needs and yet I might not show the same respect for my own?
I think we can all agree with that. with the family pressure, clients, work. And I do think that, generally speaking, women do this more. Is it the nurturing side of who we are? Is it in our DNA? I don't know. And the compassion and wanting to put other people first. There's so much power in knowing that putting yourself first is actually helping everyone else around you and doing the hard things that are going to get you to where you want to be.
Yes.
And stepping in and head on facing it. In terms of tactical, really practical skills and techniques to face hard things, I have a couple of things that I call on sometimes, and I'm hoping you do too.
Yep.
One of them is, if it's really genuinely that difficult and fearful, if I can feel the fear coming on. So this is usually more in the sporting arena or doing something adventurous, and that fear is there. The laughing, like tricking your brain into thinking that everything is fine by laughing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a fake laugh and a real laugh in that circumstance. And it sounds ridiculous, but you sound like a hyena. And you're like, like trying to trick yourself. And it almost flushes the fear out. So it's like, go ahead and do that hard thing, knowing that you're going to get to where you want to be. The other thing too is just take an action. So it doesn't mean you have to write that full report, but you have to structure the document. You have to start with a cover page, start with a sentence. Take a small action. Forget about the big rock of what you're trying to achieve and just take a step. I find that helps me with the hard things sometimes. And the third thing that I would say is stop hesitating. The longer you leave it, the longer you consider how hard that is, how challenging that feels, how difficult it is, the more we work it up in our minds.
Yes.
And the more we overthink it and the bigger we make it. So the less time you can spend on it and just do it. Maybe that's where Nike came from. Like they're saying, just do it.
Just do it. Just get on with it.
Just do it. And I hear myself say that to myself all the time. Just do it. Just do the thing.
Yeah.
Just do the thing. Or at least just start the damn thing.
Agree.
Just do it. Because you know that's what you need to do. Yeah, we know that. So just do it.
It's so true. I resonate particularly with that last one as well around even the time. So I'm sure there's probably people listening that have heard of this idea of eat that frog, which is like do the hardest thing first. And there's so many reasons why that is a good plan of attack, because we build momentum. When we've done the hardest thing in our day first, we're like, oh, I can conquer this day. I already did the thing that was stressing me out. And so I think about that often, but then I also think about the time, the energy, the overthinking and the overwhelm that I often waste when I just push paper around, you know? And what I mean by that is it might be you open an email and you read it and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this yet. So I'll mark it again as unread. And then I'll open it up the next day and I'll look at it again and I'll be like, oh, I don't want to deal with this yet. So I'll mark it as unread. By the time you calculate how much time and energy has been spent on not doing the thing, you could have done it 10 times over and you would have felt better for it and you would have conserved energy and brain space for things that are of more value to you. So I resonate very much with that practical guidance. I think for me, one of the things that I say to myself often is, you've done harder things than this.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll be like, you're a badass woman, you can do this. Sometimes even when I get into the ice bath for the first time for a while and my body's going into overdrive and it's like a crisis, get out. In my head, I'm often singing to myself like, you are a badass, you can do hard things. But I actually do say to myself, you, Claire, you have done way harder stuff than this. You have done way harder stuff. People have heard me speak about our brag books before. So sometimes you do need the data source to pull out and remind you of your evidence. So you actually need to go back and look. If you need proof of like, I can do hard things, pull it out, read it and be like, oh yeah, I've done all of those things before. I can send this email. I can increase my prices. I can ask for the promotion. I can ask for the salary increase, which then brings me, I think, to the other kind of dialogue that I have around hard things is to also ask myself, what is the worst thing that could actually happen from this? And will I care about this in 6 months' time? And most of the time, the worst thing that can happen is really not a big deal. So it helps me get on top of potentially if the procrastination is around like the fear or the anxiety or failing or getting it wrong, that dialogue helps me move on from that. But then also, will I actually care about this in 6 months' time? So the thing that I'm investing so much effort and energy in not doing because I'm worried about what people will think, what they will say, what they will not say, will I even remember it down the track? No. And that usually propels me into, well, get on with it then, because life is short. And if you've ever been down the barrel of any kind of real grief and loss, that is also a constant reminder of do not waste your time and your energy in this short life spinning your wheels on things. Like you said, in the wise words of Nike, just do it.
Absolutely. So in a nutshell, we are often faced with hard things, whether they're big or small. Mm-hmm. So recognizing that it's a hard thing and that we're avoiding it for some reason, or we have some kind of difficulty about facing it head on. Recognizing why that is, recognizing why we might be hesitating, but also recognizing why it's important that we do it. How are we going to feel afterwards? How is it going to help us? How does it align with our values, our own personal mission and goals? Having that super clear, and then taking action, taking a step, using those little hacks to remind yourself that you've done harder things. And look at role models. What have other people done? Maybe having a look at times that you have tried something and it didn't work and it was fine. It was okay.
Yes.
It doesn't have to actually go the way that you planned because it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Just give it a go anyway. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's big or small, my mission to everyone listening to this episode is to do a hard thing every day. It can be a tiny little thing, but do it. And take satisfaction in knowing that you have done that for yourself.
Yes.
And you can feel good about it later, and you will have no regrets about how much energy we put into, I wish I had just done that thing. Or why didn't I just do that thing earlier?
Yeah.
So my parting words in this episode is just do the thing.
Do the thing.
Take the step, do the thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that. I've got a Post-it note on my screen at the moment which says have the discipline to put yourself first. Yes. And I think that in essence is really what we're talking about, and that in and of itself helps build confidence and self-esteem and self-belief and self-respect, which enables us even more so to do more hard things.
Yeah. So when you do the hard thing, let us know. Reach out.
Yes.
Instagram, LinkedIn, all the things. We want to know. I want to know about your hard things. Please shout out. Thank you very much for joining us today right here from the Podwave studios in Perth, and we'll see you for the very next episode.
Looking forward to it. Shout out to Podwave. We love you guys.
You've been listening to the Rising Bold podcast, accelerated by future female leaders. If you've enjoyed today's episode, we would love your support. Leaving a review or rating helps more people discover the podcast. And if something from today's conversation resonated with you, please go ahead and share this episode with a friend or someone in your network who might benefit from hearing it too. Because when we share knowledge, experiences, and opportunities, we all rise together. Until next time, keep rising bold.